Is his connection all right? Ah, so there he is. So no, Anita's left.
Yeah. Okay, I think we'd better just give Anita a minute or two to rejoin us. All these technical issues.
Right. We're live on YouTube.
Yeah, no, see the indicator. I say I just want to give it a minute or so for Anita to rejoin because we've first item needs her. Okay.
Want me to give her a ring, see if she's all right?
I think she is. I think it's probably just a loss of connection. I thought I did hear Clive in the background, but
Yeah, I spoke to her a couple of minutes ago and she was fine.
yeah, I think she did join and we saw her.
Yeah,
Laura.
yeah.
I'd imagine it's just dropped out. She's trying to get her way back in. Whew, excuse me.
I think when we do the editing for YouTube in future, we should take this bit out.
You can't edit it. It's in. Once I fire it off, that's it. You're on.
This is
You got a
gripping
video
stuff, though.
editor afterwards. You got a video editor afterwards where you can just snip it off.
Yeah.
Dear.
I'll give her a call, see if she's all right.
Yeah, Dave, thank you. So then we are going to have to start, but without any minutes and notes, we're a little bit stuffed.
I could always put it on speaker so she can hear you through my phone if needs be.
Well, let's just.
Hang on, she's back.
I think she's coming back, Dave.
And you're on twice, Nick.
Yeah, I was saying, David, there's the outgoing me and then there's the shy me. We're both. You're breaking up a bit there, Anita.
Right.
Anyway, are we ready now? Right, let's dive in. Look, thank you very much for joining, everybody, especially on a kind of for an extraordinary meeting. So, and as a result, let's try and keep this as brief as we can whilst doing things justice. And obviously, we've put a couple of other things in there that we're just going to get passed around if we didn't deal with them. So, thank you. Item 1, please, Anita. Apologies.
Apologies have come in from John and Claire.
Okay, thank you. Have you heard anything from Terry at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Unless he sent a very late one.
No, I don't think so.
Last looked at it about 7:15, so there was nothing there then.
Okay. Any declarations of interest?
Can we just clarify? I don't consider I have a pecuniary or disclosable prejudicial interest, but I do live in Queen Street.
Doesn't matter.
But then again, most of us live in the village and we're all quite close to the topic.
Of course.
And just it's worth noting that obviously I'm directly on one of the affected areas.
You are. Right. I'm going to just, okay, well, just before I share my screen, and sorry, that was why I've kind of got two me's tonight. I want to share the screen and see everybody else. Obviously, this is probably going to be quite a visual meeting. So look, for background then, just right before the last meeting, we had a mail through from Kia saying, well, guess what? We've got an application for double yellow lines. We've been out, we've assessed it. Here's the scorecard. Oh, no, that came later, sorry. Here's a map. Here's what somebody wants. And you've got till whatever it was to come back to us. Ooh. So obviously, I think we mentioned at the meeting, Anita has tried to push for more time. We didn't get a confirmation. We set this meeting up. We then received a little bit more information, the scorecard and some other detail, which has been circulated. The lady did say, oh, okay, then we'll extend the deadline. But that was 2 days ago. And I just took the decision that we'd convene this meeting. It was very important to do this and deal with it. Just in case for some reason we couldn't make a decision, but to deal with it and other things. Otherwise, the December meeting will yet again push things to the right. So I'd say I just took that decision, and hopefully it was the right one. So again, we quite interesting. So we're not entirely sure where or who populated this. I don't think it's that important. The indication is that it's a parish councillor. It's not a problem, because I think in general it kind of describes some of the issues. It does go so far as to suggest residence parking and other things, which I don't think is necessarily, I think that's a little bit further ahead than what we would have thought. But as a result, an assessment was then done and a scorecard. And that scorecard obviously indicated quite highly, and indicated that it was worth, I believe, kind of canvassing opinion and taking it further. The scorecard being as follows. Excuse me a minute. So I'm now trying to share that, but it's, yeah, I'm really
probably going to stop sharing the first one
and start again. Yes, so I will get the hang of this. And sorry, folks, I know Mark and I'm sure one or two of you can do this much quicker. And I do, forgive me, but I do have to learn and get quicker. So we did receive this scorecard as well, which kind of indicated that we, and again, the indication there is by getting a score of 20, that this request originator was either emergency services, other statutory service, or a counsellor. So again, we have to assume it's emanating from somebody on our council. Now we've asked Anita, I have asked who that is. It's not a problem, but again, they come back and saying because of GDPR they can't tell us.
Yeah, the email I got as a borough councillor did say it was a parish councillor who'd requested it.
Okay, Peter.
Yeah, could I just perhaps remind us? Action 9 of the 13th of July was where we agreed that Adrian, who obviously is no longer on the council, but he was at the time, would fill out and send the above form. And the above form was a request for potential review of Bridge Street and Queen Street to express an interest in a review being carried out. So I don't know. I mean, I only decided to do it this evening. I did send an email to Adrian just asking him how we had the form come through. I just sent a copy to him asking him of the application form, the one you showed previously, was that the application form he'd filled in? Because I earnestly believe that actually we're debating here the result of our parish council agreement from July that we would ask to be considered. We'd ask for recommendations and suggestions, but what seems to have come back is well, this is what we're proposing, but we're not telling you why it's being proposed.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, the point is, unless anyone wants to say any more on this, we did resolve to do it. It did go, and Adrian or somebody's done that action. That's absolutely fine. But of course, it's their interpretation is something a bit more. And obviously, I think hopefully you can see it on the screen now. This is, of course, what they've come back with. If anyone hasn't had a chance to look at this, so
it seems to have escalated from a request for a review into here's a specific proposal.
Yes.
Yeah, Chair. The problem you get is if you ask for a review, that's what we've had, but we don't get involved in it. It's a paper-based review, and unfortunately, this is the result of the review that Kia and NCC have done. Yeah.
So again, yeah, it's certainly not Adrian or anybody's fault at all. It's, as you say, Mark, that's the process. It would have been good to be consulted. I guess that's what they're doing now. It would have made more sense to consult an earlier stage, which is pretty much, well, what do you want? And all they did was take the application, which of course, quite rightly describes the problem as it does describe the solution, but we've had a solution presented and we're now being asked to report back on that and what we feel. Okay, so look, I think I can get everybody's thoughts, but do you mind if I just go to everybody individually and gauge their thoughts? on this. So let's just be honest, let's be clear. The proposal is that where there is blue, that is where there is nothing at present, and they are suggesting double yellow lines. Okay. So I tell you what, Paul, I'm going to go to you first. And we know you live on the street. That's absolutely fine. Any comments?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think you're just going to exacerbate parking issues elsewhere if you double yellow line all that. I do agree that the opposite side of the road from where the houses are should be double yellow line, because people still park there, make challenging, they park in front of the bridge entrance, etc. I have first-hand done photographs of that. So there is a good case for yellow lining the opposite side of the street from the houses, both on Bridge Street and Queen Street. But for me, I think as well, the area in Queen Street that they have proposed double yellow line, I don't believe that's the biggest issue. I believe the biggest issue is the pinch point directly by Cafe Oak, where there's, so a bit further up there.
Yeah,
I would suggest probably needs double yellow lining before the bit further down. But yeah, for me, double yellow lining both sides makes no sense at all, because you're just going to push the traffic or the parking elsewhere. So the top end of Queen Street will get busier. People will, West Street, the bottom end of Grafton Road, it will all just become a bit more condensed in those areas.
Right, thanks, Paul. Peter, then, from your perspective as a councillor, and absolutely fine as a Queen Street resident, what do you think?
I agree with exactly what Paul said. This isn't a solution to a need that we've identified. It's a plan that has very little relevance to this village. Having double yellow lines on both sides of the roads is it's not necessary, and it would simply mean that people could, for all of the ones in Bridge Street on the image that's been shown on that plan, they wouldn't be able to park in front of their houses. But it isn't a problem that they park in front of their houses. The only problem is when people park on the other side of the road, particularly in the approach to the bridge or in the approach to the ford. So I don't believe that this is a suggestion that a parish council should be supporting. There is some mileage, certainly, in the south and southeast side. In other words, the right-hand side, as we're looking at that, on both the portion in Bridge Street and the portion in Queen Street, double yellow lines on that side of the road to stop double parking on there. But the single parking in front of the houses on Queen Street at the bottom end and Bridge Street in itself is not a problem. It only becomes a problem if anybody happens to park the other side. So I would suggest that if we, my response on that would be that conceivably it could meet a need by having it on the southeast side, but on the northwest side, it should only be on those short sections that are the approach to the ford, where there have been vehicles that have parked at the mouth of the ford in the past.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter. David Watson.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, can't we just go back to them and say that section on the opposite side of the houses, up by the cross, that seems to be fine, but not by the houses. Mm-hmm. And further down, again on the whichever side it is, southeast side of by the houses, but not on there. But also the narrow section, which is just off the
corner. Yes.
Yeah. Can't we just draw that in and send it back to them and say this is what we actually want?
Yeah. Okay.
And we just don't need to spend any more time on it. I don't think there's any disagreement, is there, amongst people?
There is. I just want to get everybody's 30-second opinion and then suggest something, and we can move on. Dave Rushton.
Sure. I know particularly it's a hard thing, because I know people can park stupidity in the village. Is that even a word? Basically, where they can be a little bit careless, particularly. But the problem that I have, which I resonate with Paul and Peter really, is like, again, you stop people from parking there, or simply where do they go? I mean, there's not even anywhere nearby where we can even give people relief to put parking. So I mean, obviously the areas that are pretty close, I mean, it might have some merit, but I mean, I think putting all that there, I think it's just going to cause more problems than it's going to solve.
Okay.
That's what I think, really. But yeah,
I think we're saying the same thing so far. Mark, I've deliberately left you till last because I was going to ask you an additional question along with your opinion, which is what is your opinion, but also to your knowledge, but then I'll open that to the floor. Is there anything preventing us putting yellow lines within the ramps up and down the ford as well?
Well, I was just going to mention that my reaction on this, it's going to do is for Bridge Street, it's just going to move traffic onto Grafton Road, both sides of Grafton Road, and we'll have the same problem there, or worse. So I've already, as borough councillor, I've been asked, would I support it already? I've said no, categoric, I would not support this. Because A, as everyone said, it stops people parking legitimately outside the houses, but also it doesn't actually cover all of the areas we have problems with. So on the north side, it stops at the footpaths. So there's still space for 2-3 cars to park right by the entrance to the ford and the bridge where they park anyway. They're allowed to park according to this. And you've got the ramps on to the ford, so people will park there. In terms of the comments made about Queen Street where it narrows, they did a review of that a year or so ago, and the comments that came back was that they would have to extend it quite a distance up Queen Street, and what you'll end up doing is creating the same problem in Queen Street further up that you've mentioned here. If people won't be able to park near their houses, they won't have anywhere to park in Queen Street because it's already congested at the top off. So they'll all start parking around the post office and blocking the post office car park. So I wouldn't support Queen Street's a bit of a pain, but I wouldn't support double yellow lines there because they'd make them too long, and having resident parking there won't solve the problem either.
So you're saying, Mark, that even though we want to go back and stipulate what we would like to see, you're saying that hopefully, yeah, you can see it on the screen. The kind of bit that we're talking about, this narrow bit, which may only be 10 meters. They
wanted to do 30 meters plus.
Okay. All right.
60 cars if you do that, aren't you? Really, if each car's 2 meters, you're talking.
Yeah, it goes way too up too far up Queen Street to be viable.
I think Peter's anxious to come in here. Peter.
Thank you. Yeah, Mark's absolutely right. They wanted to 30. It was 33 meters that he wanted on Queen Street when we're looking at that pinch point. But the point is that we don't have to have double yellow lines on both sides of the road.
No,
we can just have double yellow lines on the Cafe Oak side of the road in that location, allowing one vehicle to park on the north side of the road. In other words, where the vehicles park, that we could have the double yellow lines in the just that key centre, and I think we could argue that it doesn't need 33 meters there. But Mark's absolutely right that when they gave the proposal, they were talking about essentially losing the benefit of about 6 cars lengths in that area. But it isn't what's being put to us for approval or rejection at the moment. But if the mechanism is that we can say, right, well, this doesn't work, but something else would, then it may be worthwhile that we include that as part of our response.
Okay, so what we're saying is that we might want to go back in our response and say, look, we do think there should be a maximum 10 meter restriction here, but nothing more. And it is better to have nothing than have 30 meters, because that's going to cause a lot more problems than it solves. Is that what we're saying? In our return, we'd like to suggest a 5 or 10 meter area there. Is that what we're saying?
Chair, can I suggest you make 2 requests?
Yes.
One about this and then another one about the pinch point.
Okay.
Otherwise, it might get both of them squashed, or you end up with all of this and 33 meters.
Right. Okay. Well, it brings me on to my last question point. Then is it worth then in this return in this pointing out that thing that one or two of you have, which is the fact that we could really do with some yellow lines, but certainly around the entrance to the slipways, if not running the length of the slipways. How do we feel about that?
Yep. Yeah, agreed.
I mean,
I think what we need to simply focus back on is, where do people park where we don't want them to park?
Yes.
And the area in front of the hairdressers, they do park there, but we don't mind them parking there. That's quite legitimate. Where we don't want them parking is down on the slipway to the forwards and on the opposite side of the road, such it causes a bottleneck. And it's the same on the north side of the river. We have, as a parish council, no problem with single parking in front of the houses of Bridge Street. But if anybody parks, as they have done, almost where the BRI of the word Bridge Street is on that up plan, we took photos last year of people that were parking there on the curb at a very unbalanced angle, because they've got wheels up on the pavement. That's an area where we don't want them to park.
Yeah, and that's it. And bringing back to David Watson's point, that this is straightforward, and I think we all feel the same as you put it, Peter. Where do we not want people to park because it caused trouble during this summer? And quite simply, it really is. I would suggest on the southwest side of Bridge Street, of course, is the problem. I'm going to ask you all about this here on this corner. I would personally be happy with the double yellows here, but it's stretching a bit round here. Is that really a problem?
Yeah, I mean,
even the residents themselves park there. I would have cut it off here, to be honest, but I don't know what you all think.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, you can get 4 or 5 cars quite safely on that corner.
Yes.
And yeah, for me, it needs to go up to the end of that property.
Yeah, it's outside the Gibson's front door, isn't it? Yeah. I think the cut-off. I don't know what you all think to that.
Yeah, I'd suggest we did them right to just where it starts turning the corner, because you do get the odd person who parks right on that corner where your cursor is now and sticks out into the road.
Yes.
Yeah. But certainly it should go, the double yellow lines at the other end should go all the way to the bridge entrance and down the slipway.
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, and that's interesting. So again, we're talking about preserving this just up until the corner, get rid of this, but actually we could start around here, and then on both sides, double yellows going about as far to the water as they can. I would certainly suggest that. I mean, having seen that, you only need to get one vehicle either side, and you will not get an emergency vehicle through.
Yeah, and the emergency vehicles need the slip road because they can't go over the bridge.
Absolutely. Now, okay, but let me just throw this, folks. It's not devil's advocate, but it is an opinion. This is a heritage asset, and so far it's avoided having double yellow lines down it, etc. My personal view is that you've got to look at, an informed village phrase, the greater good. What we saw this summer may just repeat again and again. And we don't really want double yellow lines everywhere, but this is the one throughput part of the village that, if it is blocked, causes chaos. And it causes fights. It causes fights in the summer as well. I would certainly be suggesting that. Obviously, I think we're all pretty much agreed that again, on the Queen Street side, this double yellows on the northeast are not needed at all and will cause a lot of problems. But I would suggest that around here where the old parish council notice board is, or was, sorry, that they do start there and they extend down the ramp.
Great.
Yeah, great.
And then on the other side as well.
Just a quick question. If they are going to do them with yellow lines down near the water, are they going to be proper yellow lines, or these piddly yellow lines that we got by the school that rubs off about a week later?
Well, I hopefully the former.
Salt water will literally erode that.
Yes, yes, it will. But Okay. I mean, we're being asked, you know.
Let's get them in first and worry about that later. We can always
Yeah,
have
and
a
they
remark.
redid the small
Yeah.
ones anyway. So
I'm just raising the point now. 'Cause
You
Yeah,
won't get to change the
just-
formula.
Just on that point, then, the reason that they use the thinner, the narrower double yellow lines, it's in a conservation area, and they're the ones that are recommended for conservation areas. The fact that they laid them previously over leaves, and then when the leaves blew away, there were no yellow lines. That's just an installation problem. But the fact that they are narrower, the 50 centimeter, the 50 millimeter lines are the ones that are designed for conservation areas.
Yeah.
And then a point about
not the it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
But then a point about the putting double yellow lines on an area of the heritage site. That is a concern. We do have, but we've had very little success. But anybody parking down there, if they are actually causing obstruction, then we do have the 101 number. It's just that we seem to be, it's very difficult to get the police to come out and take any action on people that are parked illegally or inconsiderately. The wardens have got their areas where they will enforce parking disciplines. The others fall under the police, and that area, when vehicles are parked there, if they are obstructing the ford, in other words, if it means that heavy goods vehicles that are allowed in that area or emergency vehicles could not get through because the people are parked there, then we have every reason to report them to 101. But it would be the fact that we have previously had very limited success at getting the police out to do stuff. We have had more success, I think, primarily through Mark's movements in getting the wardens out, but it's the wardens will not do it for illegal parking.
But at least double yellow lines take away any ambiguity of, is this obstructing, is this reasonable, etc. Double yellow lines, at least then there is no question. Everybody sees it, everybody understands it. Even some of the visitors that we've had this summer should at least understand it. I've got just one other question then. So I think we know where we are. This seems to be quite okay. What about wrapping around here a little bit? Would we want to request that? On this?
Why?
I don't think so.
Is it
some residents part there?
Fine, I'm just asking again, just whether it is obstructing or not. I'm just gonna.
No.
Fine. Just going to. Trying to find my screen. Sorry. Where am I? Oh, this is an absolute nightmare. It really is. Right, here we go. I wanted just to get onto the street scene here. So, oops, where are we? So, in terms of this part here that you'll see on the screen, if you just give me a bit of guidance, where exactly do we want to request the double yellow bit for this part of Queen Street? Is it for 10 meters from the entrance of Askew's, is it, or Askew's Croft Barnes?
Where the middle of those three
buttresses,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the very narrowest part of the pinch point.
Yes.
And I would suggest that if you don't have yellow lines on, as we're looking at that photograph, if you don't have yellow lines on the right hand side, if you put something on the left hand side and you don't put something on the right hand side, people will think, well, okay, I'm going to park on that side anyway. So I think you'd need double yellow lines on that section on the right hand side. And on the left hand side, we should be looking for the minimum amount that we could negotiate with highways that was achieved the safety and without having lost 6 parking bays.
But Mark, you're suggesting we actually do this as a separate.
I'd suggest doing it as a separate one so it doesn't get confused with the original consultation we've been asked to do.
Yeah. And then on that one, we could actually be referring back to the July last year when we had it from Sarah Mayhew. When we had the proposal from her, it could be there's already a document on the table that we could be discussing there.
Okay. All right. So are we saying then that we'll leave that part of Queen Street out, but we'll press for a consideration of it?
The problem is, as we flagged it last year, the reason we didn't do it last year is we missed the cutoff. There was the concern that we hadn't necessarily talked it through, standing out the village. I'm now talking about the pinch point.
Yeah.
And because of that, we said, well, okay, we wanted a little bit more time, and we missed the cutoff. Yeah. This year, this is part of this exercise. Whatever we talk about with respect to the area that you're now showing will, by definition itself, miss the cutoff, because we are already in the consultation stage, which is what happens after they do their assessments. So we would not be able to get this portion in. This way, exactly why it needs to be done as two separate issues. Right. This area that's on the screen in front of us would not, we wouldn't be able to get it in the assessment phase for this year's consultation, because that's already closed.
Okay. So you're agreeing with Mark, then we leave this for a second one, Peter. Okay, fine.
I think we could refer in our reasoning for why we don't support the document as supplied to us. Yes. Could include references to other areas that are required, and we could reference there, but it wouldn't be considered as part of this application.
Sorry. Why would we get confused if we go back and draw a line on a bit of paper where we think they should be? Why would? Because
we're being asked. It wouldn't be. It would. Sorry.
We're being asked to consult on the document they've sent us, not necessarily for us to go back on some we asked them about last year and then didn't progress.
Exactly.
But we are suggesting, or we are requesting, that they put double yellow lines in the Ford.
Yeah.
Well, that was part of the original request that we asked for. That was the issue we were having, were people parking there, and they've not addressed it on their solution.
Can we not add this as like a PS? We agree with what we agree or disagree with what you say, but PS, we strongly feel about this area, and they go, oh yeah, you're correct or you're wrong.
I think you're right, Dave. I think we can reference it, but it won't be on the plan, is what Mark and Peter are saying. But we should.
I just don't understand why. We just tell them they put the line in the wrong place. They put it outside. They put it on the wrong side. Just I can't just imagine a more ridiculous argument than we're out of time. That's madness. Talk about built-in inefficiency and deliberate attempt not to deal with the issues. It's madness. They're sending a truck out. It'll take them 10 minutes to paint those lines.
Well, it's a beer.
Can't we put it in as one go and just be done with it?
It has to go through consultation and then go to the government to get approval before they get the truck with the paint to paint the lines.
So you're saying, David, you want it?
I'm saying if we don't even try, we won't know.
Yeah, maybe we've got mileage in saying, okay, we're being asked to consult on a plan. We're saying areas of that plan where you're showing that you want to put double yellow lines, we don't want them there. We're already saying there are other areas that we do want them. So yes, I mean, maybe there is as part of this consultation phase, that we do ask them to consider what part of our consultation is a response that these areas are not suitable, but in an immediately adjacent area, it is required.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, that makes sense, because, and to be fair, the happy medium here is the fact that they can't, what's the phrase I'm looking for? We haven't got room on the plan anyway to actually, I can't share anything now, it's an absolute nuisance. There isn't room on the plan anyway to actually mark up where we want it. So I think we're agreed. We'll mention it and we'll point it out. Is everybody happy for me to mark up on the plan what we've discussed, send it to Anita, copying in everybody?
Yeah,
sounds good.
So I'll just mark up I'll print their plan out in A3. I'll mark up with a fluorescent marker where we would like to see the yellow line, so there's no ambiguity at all. And Anita will mention in the response, we'll reference the plan, we'll say, look, there seems to have been something lost in translation here. These are the problem parts. There will be additional issues, massively compounded issues by double yellowing both sides, but we do want to have a conversation around a small tract that is just off the plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just need to get on with it.
All those in sorry.
I mean, we may not be successful, but at least we can say, yes, we've tried.
Yeah.
But like Mark says, I don't want there to be any confusion on the thing.
No, I think, as Mark says, I think we need to send a formal response to this consultation. Great. But we will reference the fact that there is a bigger pinch point and problem just off the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is actually consultation rather than yes, no, do you approve, do you not approve, do you support, do you not support? If we've got an opportunity of giving some form of input, and that's what I assume is required by consultation, then yeah, let's give them a fuller picture.
I would think so.
So
good. Okay then, folks. Thank you very much for that. I think we have a resolved way forward. Anita, you happy?
Yep, that's fine.
are you proposing that, Nick?
I'm going to propose that, as I've just said. So the areas as we discussed, I'll mark on the map and circulate. No,
I don't need to see it anymore. Just send it in.
Yeah. Okay.
Please make sure, Chairman, by circulating it, we don't miss the deadline.
No, I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm not circulating it for approval.
Good.
It's so you've got it, because if you get stopped, not yourself so much, David, but if the rest of us get stopped in the street, metaphorically or online, we've said no. This is what we said.
Yeah. Any
single one of us, and again, we've seen. It's all great. We're all going off and we're doing things. We're helping Anita. We're getting off and doing things. But unless we all see what each other's doing, sometimes something like this, it can get lost in translation.
Sorry, who seconded that?
It was Peter.
Peter. Thank you.
Okay. And both Nick Batchelors proposed it.
Yeah.
Okay. Item 3, planning matters and application. Obviously, again, Claire sends her apologies. Hope everyone's had a little chance to look at that. I mean, I don't know. I think we might get this over fairly quickly. Does anybody have any issues with this in particular? The applicants included photographs to show some rain damage. Apparently, what they're suggesting is a cast iron. It matches the neighbours. Does anybody have any particular truck with this?
I have no objection to it at all.
Okay. Peter, would you like to propose no objection to this?
Yeah, I propose no objection.
Okay, I'm happy to second that.
Cast iron guarantee. Sorry.
All those in favour of no objection? Okay. Against? Abstain? Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Splendid, thank you. So we're just going to go now to some things which fell out from the last meeting, and in fact actually may have fallen out of the previous one. So some items on environment. Item 4A, Peter, repair of the fence entrance to the recreation ground.
Yeah, it's the we did circulate the photographs. It's just the palisade fencing almost behind the notice board. The end post is no longer in the ground, so it can be lifted. The whole of the fence sort of can flex and be lifted across the path or pushed back to where it should be. Mm-hmm. It's more a question of a little bit of preventive maintenance rather than anything major. If it doesn't necessarily even need a new post in there, if we could put a stake behind it just to fix it too, so that it doesn't get damaged by people moving it across. If it's been in its correct position when anybody's walked through there, you would not have noticed that it wasn't actually in the ground at all. It's just propped in its right position. So I'd be quite content to put a stake in myself. It really is as simple as that, just putting a small stake in, a metal stake behind it and screwing it in. But or we could get installers to do it.
Well, Peter, I mean, look, firstly, I certainly see the need for it, and we've seen recently some pretty abhorrent vandalism in that park and with the graffiti. And this does look to me, and again, I wish I could share my screen, but I just can't work out how to now. I can see the photograph, and yes, if it's not secured, somebody will have a go at it. It'll all get ripped off,
Yes.
and then suddenly we've got a £300 or £400 repair, haven't we?
Exactly. It's a £5 job at the moment. If I was to get a one of the galvanized stakes and put in and screw it to it. So.
Okay. Peter, if you look, what does everybody else feel? I think Peter's made a very kind offer there.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I suppose I'll do it.
Thank you, Peter. I second that on the contingency that you ask for some help if you need it.
Yeah.
Sorry, who proposed it?
Peter.
Right.
Okay. All those in favour?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, Peter, for that.
Pleasure.
Right, item 4B, Stone Pit Land registry update. I know you've done a lot of work on this, haven't you, Anita? But I think you quite understandably got to the end of your tether with it, and
Yeah.
I think we perhaps need to talk about giving you some help with this, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I think I copied you into the email I sent to Terry, possibly 3-4 weeks ago, quite a long while ago, possibly more than that. Terry did reply. I'm not sure whether he copied you in. It doesn't look as if he copied you in. And he said, so far as the land registry is concerned, I would ask the council to leave it with me for review at the next meeting with the authority for me to instruct solicitors if I deem it appropriate in the meantime, subject to my referring it back to you, Nick, before doing so. That was just before the actual November monthly meeting. He sent that. I basically told him I've spent many hours on it, and I've come to the conclusion it really is a job for either a solicitor working in that sort of field or for somebody who has worked previously as a solicitor, because it doesn't say you have to be working in the profession, but some of the things I've referred to say that this is, it doesn't actually say this, but this is in my terminology. It says the language used here is for somebody in the legal profession. And I start reading it and I think, what's it talking about? And then I go on to the help guidance and they confuse me even more. And I just got to the end of my tether on it, to be perfectly honest. I just felt that something as important as this, it needs doing by a professional person. I really strongly believe that.
Okay.
And Terry said essentially he'll take the reins, hasn't he? I mean, that's what
he's saying. He's going to review it, and I'll circulate this. I obviously expected him to be at the meeting. Yeah, he's put, as far as the land registry is concerned, I would ask the council to leave it with me for review at the next meeting with the authority for me to instruct solicitors if I deem it appropriate in the meantime, subject to my referring it back to you, Nick, before doing so. So in other words, I can reply to him with what your thoughts are if you want to just wait till the next meeting till he's present and he can go over it with you.
Yeah, well, let's gauge thoughts. Mark, you're next.
I'd take Terry up on the offer and ask him to do it. It needs doing. It can wait another month, but we don't want to leave it too long in case someone else decides to try and.
Sorry, I interrupted you, Mark. Sorry, go on.
That's right.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Mark. I mean, that's great. Terry knows what he's doing. That's fantastic. I'm just slightly cautious on the last bit because we don't often give blank checks out. And whilst this is a very important issue,
But he said he would come back to you and Anita first.
Yes.
So I think if we give you, under the financial rules we have, as long as we work within those, then it comes back to you for confirm approval.
Okay.
Happy with that.
So we can either say to Terry, thank you, and please do present to us at the next full meeting in December, or yes, please see what you can do, be ready to present back to us. But if you get as far as you can, you are authorised to spend X with a solicitor, or to commit up to X with a solicitor. Which one would you like us to go back with? The second one?
Yeah, but I don't
It's
know how
not
much
that long between. Sorry. I was going to say it's not that long between now and our December meeting anyway. I mean, we're what?
No.
2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away.
He said he would do it subject to coming back to you
Yeah.
and Anita.
Yeah. Okay. But what I'm saying is, I think
he can't tell you what he can't tell you what it's going to cost until he's gone to a solicitor and asked for a quote.
Yes, I get that. But I think what Mark's suggesting is to expedite matters, that if he does come back to myself and Anita, let's say in 7 days' time, we will then have to wait until the December meeting to get the parish council's approval for spend.
But we've got the rules in the financial rules that is it £1,000?
Yes, it is.
£1,000 can be signed off by Anita and then come back to us. So I'm happy as long as you two are consulted and agree. I'm happy for you to get on with it.
Okay, that's fine.
It just has to be seen as good value, and you would have made that judgment.
I think this is very important. We know why it's important. This is protecting a parish council asset, getting it registered, and lining us up to how we manage that asset for the next 25 years. So I agree. Okay. Well, in that case, we'll use that instrument if we need to. But regardless, if
there's a problem, just say you're not authorised. Put it to the next meeting.
Yeah. If we're troubled by it, then that's what we'll do. Excuse me. Okay. Right. Thank you. So item 4C, the potential for the bridge to be pedestrianised. We did receive something back, didn't we, Anita? From David Grindley, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah, that's been circulated quite a while ago now, I think.
Yes, it is. So David says, for the bridge to be pedestrianised, I assume also allowing cyclists, not just pedestrians, a permanent traffic regulation order would need to be made, which involves a public consultation process. And as a result, the outcome cannot be guaranteed, depending upon any objections received. The bridge itself is regularly inspected, along with all our bridges, and meets all the current national standards of taking vehicles over 40 tonnes. Over 40 tonnes.
Good luck on that one.
Yeah,
it's too. Well, a tank went over and scratched it. So.
Okay. So look, we need to expedite this. It's been hanging around a little bit. Yeah, Peter.
Could I just ask, have we ever established, even within the council, whether there's a significant level of support for the bridge to be pedestrianised?
I was just about to ask this.
Because
I was just about to say,
my question is why?
Exactly. I think it's. It seems to have come up, and we've looked into it, but there's never been much discussion about. Well, are we as a parish council aware that there's a groundswell of popular feeling that it should be pedestrianised? I mean, obviously there will be some people that would feel it, but I personally have not been made aware of anybody that's certainly approached me about it. And my personal opinion is that it's unnecessary.
Just a quick one. If we
Dave, then Paul. Sorry, Dave.
Sorry. If we did pedestrianise the bridge, could we add more parking there, just as an idea? Because obviously then
on the bridge.
No, not on the bridge, but like by the bridge. Because obviously, if no cars can get through there anymore, I'm just thinking tactically here. Like if we was to pedestrianise it, could we like have parking so effectively it stops people by them? I'm just an idea.
I think, Dave, I think we've already had the answer in this meeting, really. There is nowhere to park near that bridge other than outside the residents' houses. To be honest, my friend, I really don't think so. There's no land where...
I just wanted to plant the idea.
That's all right. Paul?
So, yeah, the conversation because John and I met with Alison Holland about 6 weeks ago now. and there was a fairly reasoned, well thought out proposal by her in terms of the idea of closing the bridge, and the generating of or making that part of a green travel plan within the village. I think if you listen to Alison, there is huge support within the village for closing the bridge, and I do kind of partly get where she's coming from, but I don't think enough work has been done to it. We were due to meet again in a couple of weeks, John and myself, with Alison, but I think she's delayed that. I think she's somewhat busy, but I think it's worth investigating a bit further, and certainly seeking some other points of view.
Can't we float the idea on Facebook and in the village newsletter and see what reaction we get?
I think we can, David, like I say, but I'm picking up the other point, which is, well, what do councillors think? Where's this come from? Yeah, go on, Mark.
It's popped up every now and again over the years on the parish council. The last time was when Paul Hopkins raised it, I think. And if you're crossing the bridge at school time with the parents, you get collared of why isn't this pedestrianised? Where especially some of the villagers who seem to think 20 miles an hour doesn't count between those two sets of bollards. They seem to race over the bridge half the time. So I think doing I think David just said, doing a Facebook and in the village newsletter to say, is this something you want? And then we put it for the standing orders for next year, because we'd have missed the standing orders this year.
I mean, Mark, I think that's good. I mean, I'll tell you what, I mean, I suppose it all depends in which circles and demographics you move in the village. Obviously, I've got young children, so parents collar me. And yes, it emanates largely from parents, because their point is, apart from when the ford's in flood, why can't everybody just go through the ford if they really need to? And actually, it might just get people parking in the village hall rather than crossing the bridge, sort of driving over the bridge and then parking again in the centre of the village. And I guess that's largely, so again, because I move in that demographic, I've never heard anybody say that or go against that idea. And I've mentioned it formally in groups of parents, informally rather, and everybody agrees. Paul?
Just one of the trends which was noticed this summer was not only vehicles parking in the ford for a bit of a photo shoot, but they started parking on the bridge, getting out their cars, taking pictures of the cars. And it does that as the summer went on. There was more and more people doing that. I think you're going to see an increase, because it is such a nice place to come and photo your car, obviously. I think you will see an increase in that kind of traffic and that kind of behaviour.
I can't see personally the justification for the fact that after it was built in 1260, so after 800 years, that we decide that because some people park their cars and take photographs, that we're going to close off the bridge. I don't see it.
I'm not in any way suggesting that's the only rationale.
No, but and also, I mean, with the you mentioned the traffic plan and walking and cycling and things like that. Well, you can walk and cycle over it. I mean, I walk over it at least twice every day. And yeah, I mean, they've got the sheltering spots in the cutwater that you walk into if a car's coming. I'm not saying that there are not idiots that drive too fast over there. I'm sure there must be, but personally,
there'll be the same idiots as an alternative will drive too fast down West Street.
Well, yeah, they drive too fast everywhere. They drive too fast down the whole of the rest of the Queen Street.
You are right, David. One of the downsides is that if you stop people driving over that bridge because they don't want to get their wheels wet in 3 inches of water, they'll then find an alternative, and that alternative is West Street.
Yeah. Well, because during the winter, it's closed far more than it is during the summer. I mean, 3 inches in the summer, but 3 feet in the winter.
Yeah. Okay. Is this something that we want to, what Mark suggested was the potential of not an informal consultation, we're not there, but an informal canvas, an informal straw poll, get opinions. Do we as a council want to do that, to say, we are discussing this, we are looking at the potential of this, we're nowhere near a formal consultation, what do you think, Mark?
Just having a thought on, if we put it on, I'd go back on putting it on Facebook, actually, because half of the people on Facebook aren't residents of the village, so you'll end up with a skewed, my gut is you'll end up with a skewed, the people outside the village.
You can put it in the newsletter.
If we put it in the newsletter, if we wanted to do it, I'd put it in the newsletter of, a suggestion's been made of making it pedestrian. What do you think? Yes, no.
This is the process we'll have to go through. Before we do that, is there an
appetite for it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not getting from councillors that there is a big appetite for it. Sorry, Peter.
No, all I was going to say is, if we were to be doing that, I think we should also we should actively be canvassing for views, not just the opinions of those that might say, yes, I'd prefer it to be closed, because I think a lot of people would say, well, no, that's a ridiculous idea, but I can't bother to write in or voice my concerns that I don't want it closing. I think the more vocal people may well be those that would respond and want it closed. So that's always my concern, that we've got so many areas of activity that we should be involved in, that here it's almost as if we're looking for an issue that hasn't been brought for us. Certainly while I've been on the council, hasn't been brought as an issue, as a resident concern.
I'll be honest, I've not seen a single letter from a resident actually requesting this, I must say. And again, I'll be very open. I've had it verbally on many occasions, but okay, as I say, I happen to move in that demographic. So I should probably say that I would have to admit, unless somebody does raise it and can point to opinion and some reasons, it's probably,
I think,
necessarily have to take it forward.
The mechanisms that we're talking about, the newsletter, I'd agree with Mark, newsletter rather than Facebook. If we were to have the issue put to us as a topic for what would be the view, then yes, we would, as a first exercise, go out to residents and say, well, okay, before we go anywhere on this, what's the give us some input. But I don't think we're even at that stage. That is, if I've missed something, if there's been something that's been put formally before the council, then, and at any stage, if it were to be put before the council, we would have to consider it. But as I said, I simply didn't think we were there. I didn't think there was this big bubbling issue that had been brought to the council's attention.
That's fair enough. Okay, all right. So that we'll drop it for now. But again, if this rears up and we get a swell of opinion to consider it, then we will. Okay. I mean, let's be honest, we do have enough to do. Item 4D, penultimate item, to agree design for additional village signage. Sorry, I'm hiccuping away. So again, this comes from who are they called again? Sorry.
Adrian.
Well, yeah, kind of. It's now been kind of picked up with myself. Oh dear, I cannot for the life of me find the attachment. No, this was from Ken Signs. Where are we? Just sorry. This is from Ken Signs, and they're suggesting we did have a bit of spend with them that we approved, and they're saying, how are these? How do we feel about these?
The only query I've got on those is there's no indication of size.
These would be A2 size. It's a good point. Or is it A1 size?
A1's massive.
I think we did discuss.
A2, I think. A2, is it?
We did discuss there should be some levels of signage that's about to actually address the problem of people not even understanding that there was a car park available. So yeah, that those signs, each one in a suitable location for the way that the arrow is pointing, I'm sure would be of some use. But we would need to know whether we're talking about
I
walked size or
I walked the course with Peter from Ken Signs, and it was exactly where we talked about before. So on the lamppost near the chapel, both sides, one coming onto the bridge from the north side. So effectively, the two that you see on the left of the screen would be on that lamppost outside the chapel. This one in the top of the screen would be on the lamppost as you go towards the bridge from the north side so if you go down Bridge Street towards the ford, you'd see that one. And the further up Queen Street, but what's being suggested by Peter is this would be a removable sign that we could actually put beneath our village sign, but we only need to put it up for certain parts of the summer because we do appreciate it is a little bit in your face as you come into the village. So it may well be that that sign's only put up on the day of things like, if it ever happens again, the garage sale, the trundle, or on that hot bit of summer when actually we can deal with the blight of the sign, because we do want to direct people to where the parking is.
That's a very sensible use of that form of signage, because if it was there all the time, it's almost like we're marketing ourselves as a tourist destination to people passing on the main road. But the way you've advocated that is that when there's an event that requires it, it would be signage that shows where the parking is. So I'd support that. Yeah,
it's exactly that, Peter. It is when we are 99% sure there will be an influx of visitors. So it's a hot day in the school holidays, or at the weekend in the summer, or a bank holiday, or we have a village event on. And then that sign there, I'm not sure, I forget what the fifth one was. Sure. Forgive me. Yes, David.
Given that we're talking about expanding the size of the car park, is now the time to advertise 44 free car parking spaces, when in hopefully 3 months' time we might be saying there's 72 or whatever the number is.
Peter, can you? Yeah, it's a good point.
Just one point, and it's absolutely bugging me, as you can appreciate what I do for a job. If the arrows could at least line up with the actual text at the bottom of the signs and other bits and pieces as well, the linings all over the place. Sorry, it absolutely bugs me. I know it's nitpicky, but it's just one of them things that, it just bothers me.
Okay, sorry, David. Can we just deal with that David's point? So, Peter, what do you think to that comment?
Well, one of the logical requirements was to say that it was free parking. But I fully agree with what David's saying. Then again, I don't think we were talking about an awful lot of cost on this. I mean, it may well be that it's worthwhile putting these up. But as an alternative, I mean, if it just said free parking rather than 44 free spaces, then I think they wouldn't become, under any set of circumstances, they wouldn't become redundant signage.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
I think we approved, I think it was 350, and it would be within that. Okay, Mark, sorry.
Yeah, A2 is about 16 inches by 24 inches in old money, which is quite big. I mean, the one you're proposing by the village sign, yeah, I can appreciate that size, but some of the other ones are going to be quite big signs in the village. But I agree with David. We shouldn't put the number of spaces on there because there aren't 44 anyway at the moment, because we've got dumped cars in there.
Do you want me to go back to Peter, give Peter Moat, give all this feedback, ask for those changes, and even Dave's suggestion about where things line up, because it's a fair point, and just ask, do you mind coming back with something else before the next meeting so we can just keep this on the agenda, make all those changes, and hopefully it'll fly through, and to be very clear about the sizes. So we're effectively saying A3 size, but we can live with the A2 size, which is the one that we roll out for special occasions.
Chairman, just a thought. I just wonder whether the design of the parking isn't in line with standard council policy, because they do the signs for the council anyway, don't they?
I don't know.
Sure.
I suspect there is a standard they're required to comply with, so that may be the reason why it looks the way it does.
I'm not sure, but I can ask them.
Well,
Okay.
maybe I'll get onto the
I
council.
think we're
and get
agreed.
them to change it.
Are you all happy? Are you all happy if I just do that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you go back to him with with those comments.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Okay. And so finally, just for my agenda. Sorry. Yes. 4E, replacement of glass or perspex for the Geddington notice board. Yeah, that, to be fair, that got damaged at some point in the summer during continuing the theme when we had the influx of visitors. And I went out there one day and found that it had been dislodged, tried to put it back in place. Seemed okay for a bit. Then Anita went there. Was it you itself or Clive, Anita, and got hit on the
Well,
head?
actually, I can't put notices in now unless I drag him down with me, because it's in such a precarious state. You need one to actually hold the perspex in place open while the other puts the notice up. It's as bad as that now.
Yeah. I mean, not the,
And it doesn't, it's permanently open, but actually that's quite a good thing in a way, because it was getting misted up terribly before. And that in itself has ruined the green baize at the back of it because of the constant moisture. It's like a sponge now.
do we think?
I think basically it was, the one at Newton is great, no problems at all. But I think that one is too big to have the design of just one. I know the old one was, but it was perhaps more substantial to have just the two, the two hinges holding such a big expanse up. I think with hindsight, we should have gone for, council should have perhaps seriously considered a dearer one that perhaps opened like a 2 cupboard doors, that sort. I think it'll be more sturdy, but it is what it is now.
Do we think it's under guarantee at all that they can?
No, I've checked. It's outside. I mean, I can contact them, but I know it is. But I can contact them just in case they're quite amenable to repairing it.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, didn't we have the backboard and the perspex replaced not that long ago?
We had the perspex replaced because the sealant, it was just like a glue basically holding the perspex in, it just disintegrated. So and the perspex, it actually fell out. Fortunately, it was on my head and not somebody else's, and it just literally fell out onto the floor, broke. So yeah, we had that replaced. They put a new sealant in, but within a short space of time, it started going again. I don't know why, but they didn't replace the back of it.
We should be going back to them saying that this is damage. This has happened again, so it is in warranty because it should reset. And this is the backboard is direct damage because the sealant's failed.
Yeah, but I'm fairly sure, Anita, that Mark was right, that we did have the backboard replaced. It had gone like a sponge.
Yeah. I thought we'd had the backboard replaced.
I guarantee it.
I'll go back to them and I'll check with them.
But also, can I just question? I mean, what we're saying here is replacement of glass or perspex for the Geddington notice board. If you replace what are we looking to achieve? If you replace the perspex, you get new perspex in there. So is it the fact that we're on a new piece of perspex, or is it the fact that the fixing of the perspex has come loose again, and therefore we've got a fundamental problem with how they fix their perspex in?
The frame's gone out of alignment because I tried to fasten it the other day.
I was trying this afternoon. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you can't close it.
It's fundamentally.
So if you literally put another piece of perspex in there, that won't solve the problem because you can't close it.
Anita, you'll either know this off of your top of your head or not, but do you recall, because you just mentioned doors, do you recall with this size of notice board from this vendor, whether there was a doors option, or were you talking about a completely different notice board from somebody else?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know without going back and looking,
Yeah.
because there was, there were 3 different companies and we were looking at the different stars with all of them. But I can certainly ask that.
I think safety has to come first here, and yeah, I mean, I'm picking up what people are saying is that, look, this is just going to happen a third time. It's a design flaw.
I've actually been on edge this last little while because, as I say, you need 2 people really, one to hold it up to keep the perspex in place while the other puts things in. And
Yeah,
I've actually been on edge in case somebody that wants to put a village notice up, that they're not aware of it. They go in and it just, well, does them some harm, shall I say? I don't know.
Mark, sorry, you wanted to come back in?
Can I suggest we go back to them saying the perspex seal's gone again, the backboard is soaked again. There's obviously a fundamental design fault with that design of notice board. We want something that does the job, and push for them to suggest either replace it with side opening doors or come up with a damn good solution to fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems strange to me that, as I say, the Newton one, it's absolutely great, no problems at all. And this one, that's the same fundamental design, we're having all this problem with it. So this is what makes me think it's just the actual size of it for that style.
Yeah, the Newton ones, though, I think the Newton one is half the area, isn't it? So
it's only got one hinge, but it's half the area. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I agree with Mark. Anita, can you go back and push that? But I think again, if there's a decision to be made around cost, if they come back and say, well, look, we can, Mrs. Curtis, but it's going to be,
well, they're
200,000. I think we're just going to have to do it because this is a safety concern.
They're quite long-winded, so I think it'll be possibly a month, several weeks before they even come out.
You've got to do something quick because it's a health and safety liability with the perspex falling on someone's head.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell them that as well.
I think, Anita, if you've not, I don't know what councillors think, but Anita, if you've not had a positive response and a way forward within a week, then my view is that we are just going to have to tape it up with hazard tape and say do not open.
Okay.
And we'll find another way of, maybe 2 or 3 of us have to put up the statutory notices, which of course are for the parish council meetings. We'll have to just 2 or 3 of us will do that together. But otherwise we can't have residents using it. I'll
give them a ring in my dinner hour tomorrow and see what they say.
Would you want? Does everybody agree with that? We look for 7 days for a positive response. It's not to be fixed in 7 days, but they have to give us a way forward and a timescale.
Yeah, well, the logic is we bought from a proprietary company a notice board that we want to use as a notice board. So it's not like we're doing anything unusual or being over demanding in hoping that it will last and you can actually open and close it safely.
Oh, and are we covered insurance-wise? Obviously, if something happens in the meantime.
Public liability, but
so we are
public liability like insurance, but we don't want to use it.
No, we don't.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, would we be seen as doing enough? That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, it's a valid point. If we are saying that we're aware of a risk and we don't address that risk, then our liability insurance wouldn't necessarily cover us because we've not reacted to knowledge of a potential risk.
But we are acting to it.
But we are doing it. I agree. With the timescales that Nick's talked about, I think that could be demonstrated that that's reasonable action. Yeah.
I mean, look, if this was something that could seriously injure or kill somebody, we'd have to sort it out tonight. It's not. It could cause a minor injury, but then there's many parts of our village which we have some proprietary of responsibility for, which could cause a minor injury.
Yeah.
So,
having raised it in a public forum, and particularly on YouTube, we need to get on with it straight away.
Yeah.
Because it'll probably give somebody some ideas, and you may well find you get a claim suddenly.
Well, look, David Scott saying, well, we're going to get an answer within 7 days. If we don't get an answer, or that answer is not sufficient, or whatever, we'll tape it up with hazard tape and say do not use on it, and try and make the job as neat as possible. But the safety has to come first. I think 7 days is reasonable.
Okay.
Okay, item 5, Little Oakley. Anything? Does anyone anything from Terry or anything at all? Oh, Mark's gone and Dave Rushton is the host now.
Oh, right. Lovely.
Excellent. You have the
I'll
power.
set you to the host.
Well, there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're the host, Nick. There
Oh,
you go.
there you go. You have the reins of power just for a few seconds. Look
All power is taken.
at Little Oakley. I take it nobody has anything to raise Little Oakley wise. Okay. Like finally, that any other business, is there anything we kind of need to bring to the table now? And again, as we've resolved, it really has to be very, very pressing, unless the next meeting. Oh, I think Mark's coming back.
Thanks for the host status, Mark.
Just let Mark rejoin because he might actually have something for any other business. Hi, Mark.
Oh yeah, sorry, just had a power failure.
No, don't worry. All your power transferred to Dave Rushton. Don't worry.
All right. That's a bit worrying.
Mark, we're any other business?
Yes, I've got 2 items actually, which is
okay.
why I'm desperately come back. First is recreation grounds vandalism, the graffiti. Mark Byers reported it on Facebook, and then promptly him and his family went out to clean it all off. I asked that we send a letter of thanks to Mark and his family. I mean, his 2 older kids did a sterling job trying to scrape it off. They went off and bought some graffiti remover off their own bat, which if we so wish. But a letter of thanks would be great. If we can put it on for the December meeting, because we're going to have to make a decision about the bandstand.
Okay, Mark, we just lost you there, and you were just saying about that they'd spent some money out their own pocket, and I think you were lost for a few seconds.
Sorry, they went off to get some anti-graffiti chemicals off their own bat, so I've reimbursed them for that and put that through to Anita, because obviously they did quite a good job of getting rid of some of it. And then the Borough Council went with the heavy duty stuff on the bandstand. So if we can put that on December's agenda.
Okay.
The second
Mark,
item.
sorry, Mark,
Anita,
before you go. Sorry, Mark, just before you go, I also want to record thanks to Mark as well, because I know Mark was there with the Byers family cleaning up and helping. So Mark, thank you very much for that. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, that's all right.
Sorry.
Yeah, the second item. Anita, have you had a letter from Boughton Estates?
No.
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 I had one. All right. I had one yesterday from Rachel. She's actually leaving Boughton Estates at the end of this month.
Oh.
She's evidently expecting her second child in January, and has decided that she wants to spend more time with the kids when the second one's born, so she's leaving the estate. A new person has been given the post, but I'm quickly looking just before the meeting. I couldn't find the letter to say who it is, so I'll photocopy the letter and email it forward.
Yeah, I haven't received anything. And that's at the end of this month.
Yeah, as of the 30th of November, she's leaving.
Right.
Okay.
So that's all I had.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark. Okay. I think that's about it then, everybody. Look, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Again, because it was an extraordinary meeting. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, and see you next time. Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.